Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm your host, Lauren Conlin. Welcome to Pop Crime TV. So, Steve Fischer of SF Investigates should be joining me shortly. I'm going to try to open up my screen a little bit. All right, get this image back up on the screen of what I believe to be Celeste. I mean, we're clearly not sure about anything at this point, but hi Phil, hey Afton, hey Mare, hi Sheila, hey Superstar. Let me add this. Okay, make myself a little bigger. All right, so this picture right here is the photo that has been going around, and that's taken from a video at the end of August at one of David's concerts. Many people believe this to be Celeste. I think this also looks like Celeste, which, if it is, it could help police with a timeline should they need this type of help. But really, the reason that I wanted to grab Steve and get his thoughts on a lot of this stuff is because we are all speculating. That's all anyone can do right now, and me personally, I want to make sure that my speculations are not harmful, that they are not wild, and that they're just, respectful speculations. And so I think a lot of things this week, that Steve actually pointed out made me think a few different ways. And I've put out a bunch of videos about this, but I think that for me, something that Steve said, and I also emailed the medical examiner's office again myself, just to see if they had anything different to say while I am waiting on, the rest of the documents and the autopsy. It was LAPD that said that Celeste was dismembered. And they said this to TMZ. And that kind of became the narrative. And the medical examiner's office did not say anything like that to Steve Fischer when he emailed. So I think some people previously had speculated that, she was so badly decomposed that perhaps some of her limbs had, detached. And I'm so sorry to say that. Again, I want to be sensitive because she is a young girl that should still be here. And Sheila, no, there is not a cause or manner of death, which is why there hasn't been an arrest yet when it comes to Celeste. So we, without having the medical examiner's office determine the cause or manner, if it's a homicide, an accidental overdose, whatever, there's not going to be an arrest unless they get him on something else, which I thought maybe they would, which would be statutory rape, perhaps. I mean, yeah, I am genuinely confused as to why that hasn't happened yet. If what we are hearing from sources, valid sources, is correct, as in David and Celeste. I don't know. Did anyone hear the TMZ interview with Ashley Banfield? I find this to be really interesting because David's friends, who she claimed were incredibly close to David, said they saw David and Celeste out all the time. Looked like they were a couple. However, there was no PDA. Did you guys catch that? So how exactly do they look like a couple without PDA? I mean, it could be as simple as hand holding, maybe. It just seems weird that, they contradict themselves a lot. Or when I say they, I mean these sources. And they were so close to David. They thought Celeste was 18 or 19 years old, was a student at USC. She didn't really explain why these students saw that. Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, I found that to be weird. We know, right? Or what we've heard, I guess, and it seems to be true in terms of the fact that Celeste did run away a lot. Did she possibly come from this broken home or from a home where, she had some issues, and she ran to him for like a safe place or to feel safe. And look, I'm not stupid, right? But you could say, or he could argue, like, oh no, I was just there for her because somebody, and again, I'm speculating, somebody in her family abused her or whatever, and I was just here for her, and that's why she was coming in and out of my house. And I mean, it's like, yeah, I don't know. What is he saying right now that there hasn't been an arrest at all? So yeah, that's kind of where we're left. And I had said this the other night on Banfield. I had said police have to look through every device, every computer, every phone. You know, I'm assuming that they have or had a probable cause search warrant since they searched the home for all of his devices. And dude, this guy's got chats everywhere, right? He's got Discord, Reddit, TikTok. I mean, he is just embedded in the internet. So putting all of his obsessive behavior when it comes to homicides and just darkness and blood spatter, and I don't know, putting that aside, because like I can't explain that. If he didn't, you know, harm her, I can't explain why he's like that. I don't know. And yeah, so you said 6. So if her mom reached out to TMZ before the cops did they pay her too? Now, something I'll say about TMZ, they do get great sources, and they have a lot of great sources. But like, for example, I have on very, very good authority that Casey Anthony, if she is going to be somewhere randomly, she will tip off TMZ herself and they will pay her for that. So I don't think any of these companies are above paying anyone for any information. And I'm not saying that's what happened here. I'm just saying, in my experience, it has happened before. So now Steve has also been doing some really, really good digging in terms of the Tesla, and just in terms of he's been, you know, also talking to some of Celeste's quote unquote friends. And, you know, with the Tesla, we found out through Steve the other day, they had already given this car back to David. I mean, apparently it was in really bad shape. It was totally ripped up, but yeah, gave it back to David. And so it's in his possession. And also he confirmed that the medical examiner's office had released Celeste's body to her family. And that is also on the website for the medical examiner. Now, what I had emailed them this morning is I was just trying to figure out if any limbs were actually missing. So I think for me, I still didn't understand why they chose to report that she weighed 71 pounds upon discovery. I know that, you know, a body can obviously lose mass and weight when they're decomposing. I didn't know if limbs were missing. I wasn't sure. And then the missing poster had stated, which was from last year, 120 pounds. And then Steve was able to confirm through someone who was close to Celeste that she actually weighed closer to 100 pounds. So I don't know why they would include that. I don't see a lot of, I guess, people's weights posted after they were found not all in one piece. But someone else correct me if you have an example of that. I wasn't super sure about it. Now, something else that I had been thinking about as well is the fact that Josh Marshall broke the lease on the house, and they are moving their stuff out. Okay. I mean, Josh could be just distancing himself from David and that house clearly, or did something very bad happen in that house? I mean, you know, why else do you, or like, you know, I don't live in California. I don't live in that area. Could paparazzi be staked out there every day and they just want, you know, they want to get out? Maybe, but weird. Just weird timing. Just wait a minute. I don't know. And then the fact that Interscope hasn't made any type of statement, I find to be extremely weird. And, you know, they haven't dropped their client, although his streams are just doing better than ever. I think last week he rose like 60 spots on the Spotify chart. And I get it. Everybody has some morbid curiosity, especially some of his creepy music. So I completely understand. Like I truthfully had never heard of him, so I was interested in hearing some of his songs and what he had to say. And it's sad. He has a good voice, but his lyrics are really bizarre, really scary. And his music videos are scary as well. And then him talking about his alter ego, that manga character, about how he's like an undercover detective and he's solving murders or red rums that he had already committed. I'm just like, what? This is getting more and more bizarre. And as the days go on, and we still don't have an arrest, we still don't have a cause of death, a manner of death, it just leaves us to speculate even further. So again, that's why I wanted to bring on Steve, and I just wanted to go over some things with him. I mean, I have no problem also just calling the LAPD PIO right now while we're sitting here on the phone. Hold on. It says the host, he's having trouble. Let me see. Can you try from your phone? Sorry, guys. All right, let's see. And if not, what should I do if he can't get into StreamYard? I'm not even sure what to do. I guess I could call him, but I don't know. I feel like I want him. I want him on here. So yeah, I don't know. Could a Rico come from all this? I mean, I don't know. We don't know enough details, right? Like I hate throwing the racketeering predicates around like this just after seeing them, thrown against the wall and in the Diddy trial to see if it would stick. But yeah, we don't know enough details on this one at all to determine anything. So, okay, Phil, the rear damage on the Tesla could have been from hitting a person. Yeah, I mean, and Steve, I think he showed there was some tape. Let me find, I'll just keep this here. Let me find Steve's stuff. Okay. Steve had asked about some tape on the back. My gosh, I go way down. Sorry, it's like I'm stalking him or something. Do any people that know cars have any idea what the tape on the rear spoiler is for? It doesn't appear to be really holding anything in place structurally. Okay. So here is just some close-ups. And yeah, the car, by the way, was never reported stolen. However, it was also reported that multiple people did use David's cars. But again, everybody's like, okay, the Tesla cameras. And then I don't know if people are just making this up or not, but they're like, he turned them off. Well, okay. How do you know that? Were you there? I have no idea. Oh, here he goes. There's Steve. Yay. Oh,
sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Oh, I'm so happy to have you. We've all been like, yeah, going over theories. But Steve, a theory, I was just looking at your Twitter with the car and the dent in the back. And Phil had said the rear damage on the Tesla could have been from hitting a person. What do you think about that?
I mean, it could, I've thought about that. You can't rule it out. Although I know that there was an interview, and I have not talked to the person, but somebody apparently talked to a neighbor that had just gotten back in town, and they said that they noted that, he had seen them both together quite a bit, but also tried to talk to him about the damage, like what happened. So it seems like it's been there maybe for a while, but the car's trashed.
Yeah. And it wasn't reported stolen, I saw. And yeah, Phil's saying, well, why would he not get it fixed ASAP? What, like, and right, like a guy like that, you've got people that do this stuff for you.
Sure.
It's kind of weird.
It is, and it's expensive cars. I think you paid 102 or 104,000 for it. And it's not that old. It's 2023, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't know, but it's trashed the whole way around now, because they also noted damage on the right side of the vehicle, you know, which was up against the curb. So either he's just a horrible driver, or whoever's been driving is a horrible driver, or I don't know. The main thing to me is like how dirty the car is, because like, listen, living in LA, I mean, that can happen. And what I originally thought was it was probably the sprinklers from the, because that house that he's parked by has a ton of vegetation, and maybe it was the sprinklers. But the thing is, it's on the other side of the vehicle too. So I think that car has been there a long time, because to get that much buildup on the windshield, it takes a while, you know.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
haven't
No,
rain.
totally. Go ahead.
And we haven't had rain here, so it's not from like a rainstorm, you know.
Okay. Do you know anything factual about the quote unquote cameras being turned off in the Tesla?
No,
No.
no, I haven't heard anything about that. I mean, obviously that Tesla's got a lot of cameras, but if it's been sitting there a long time, I don't know, and I don't know the answer to this, but I don't know how long it'll maintain a charge while it's just sitting, you know. But I know that they do become a brick after a certain, you know, amount of time, and then once, if you let that happen, it can be a real problem. But you know, who knows how long it's been sitting there, if it'll maintain whatever charge it had, you know.
Yeah, I just Googled that. I just said, how long does a Tesla battery die if it's full after sitting dormant? If it's left unplugged, a fully charged battery can drain to empty in as little as 2 to 3 months. Okay, so
Okay.
it was most likely pretty full, I guess, because it's probably a
Yeah, I mean, if it was full, I mean, with a car that's not maintained like that, I guess you could argue, you know, it seems like it was being parked on the street, even when it was by his house and not in the garage. So it probably wasn't plugged in after every use like a lot of people do. You know, I was at the house the other day, and there was other vehicles in the garage. So it looked like another Tesla to me, a red one. So although, you know, that could have been the manager's car, who knows? It could have been another one of his, but I don't think this one was charged, you know, daily. But who knows? It might have been, you know.
Did you see them moving stuff out of the house? That was reported. I think it was by the Daily Mail that they were just moving out. I mean, or they said they broke their lease, but did you see any boxes or anything like that?
Yeah, I saw a little bit, you know, and I didn't spend a lot of time there. I live in the area, so it's I saw I did see somebody coming out of the house, and the garage door. They were actually moving another vehicle out of the garage, which is the red one. At first, I thought it was parked. It was backed in, so it was like the nose pointing out. At first, I thought it looked like a Porsche, but then when they pulled it out, I'm pretty sure it was a Tesla.
Okay. Yeah. Ashley says the red Tesla was registered to Josh Marshall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I am curious to know your thoughts on there was an interview done on Banfield with someone from TMZ last night, and they were discussing the fact that David's quote unquote friends had seen Celeste and David out together, appearing as a couple. But then she seemed to contradict herself a bit and say, well, you know, we never saw them, or the friends said they never saw them kissing, showing any type of PDA, you know, whatever. I guess I'm just confused. Isn't that a little just contradicting? If they're a couple, how do you know they're a couple if they're just standing side by side? I don't quite understand how you come to that conclusion if they've never kissed, they've never, just because they're a boy and a girl. I don't know.
Well, so let's say they were just friends. I mean, the fact is, I think it's going to be very hard for him to say that he did not know that she was a missing person. You know, from what I understand, from what I've heard, is that the first time she was found, she was found there, and then the second time she came home on her own. I know somebody that wrote an email to Josh and people very close to Josh saying she's there, she's a missing person, you know, and literally the next day she showed up. She came back by herself. So he can't say he didn't know. Now, even let's say there was nothing sexual going on or whatever, she's still a 12 or 13-year-old, and you can't keep her from her family. You can't harbor her. So it's still a crime. Now, do I think there was something more going on? I just because I have a little common sense. Yeah, I think probably. Can I prove that? Absolutely not. But I think what can be proven is that there's probably a report out there that from when she was picked up, I don't know if it was Lake Elsinore or if it was LAPD that actually picked her up in the Hollywood Hills, but she was picked up there, and there will be a report on that. Now, she's a minor, so that will be sealed from us, but law enforcement has access to it, and so does prosecutors, and it's gonna be really hard for them to get away from the harboring and knowing she was missing. And that, it's a serious crime. They're keeping her out of school, all types of things, and the it's not just David. Josh is going to have a huge problem here, as is Interscope, I think.
I mean, I had said just before you got on, I guess I know that he's making more money than ever with his streams right now. Very successful. We all are very morbidly curious, I guess. Could this be the one reason that they're not dropping him from Interscope? Because that's me. And I'd be like, sorry, we don't know him.
Well, so I think the problem they have, obviously they have clauses in their contracts, moral clauses, so they can be dropped if something like that. Yeah. But these managers and I've listened, growing up here, I know people that from a long time back, but that have been in this industry, and that almost that same type of young blowing up situation. These managers know every single thing about these people's lives. They're literally like these young artists. They're on the phone with them all day long. I need this done. I need this done to get this happen. It's like a manager, a therapist, and an assistant, all kind of wrapped in one. Listen, they know everything, and Celeste was not exactly a secret. Obviously, we know there's a lot of people that knew about her. There's a lot of people that knew she was underage, and there's people that were in the Discord saying, "Hey, what about the missing girl from Lake Elsinore? When are you gonna, that's gonna be a problem." And Josh's gonna have a problem getting away from that because she was in that house, and
Well, yeah, correct. We know she was in the house. People saw her. Witnesses saw her go in the house. I'm assuming camera footage collected that as well, possibly Tesla footage, because I'm sure she drove in the car with him. If she's seen with him here, seen with him there. Also, there's got to be security footage around LA, around the Hollywood Hills. They're probably scouring through as well. I thought of all this, but also I hate to, I was on a show the other night, and one of the journalists he came down on the family. And, I think there will be a time to come down on right now. I feel horrible for them. I feel so bad for what they're going through. But there was something that struck me when her brother reactivated her Instagram, which, by the way, was something like,
sorry about that.
No, you're so popular. It was something like Blunt Lover. And I think she made that when she was 12, which is so sad and so concerning. And God, I don't want my kids to grow up. Sorry. So he said in his stories, okay, he wrote, "We lost our girl." Instead of maybe talking about how much they miss her, how horrible this is there, but he wrote, "We did everything we could." Flyers, TikTok, Facebook, even our family in Mexico searched for her.
Yeah.
I found that to be just a little bit like, oh, let me prove that we did stuff type of thing, which I'm not blaming them. I'm not blaming them.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be one of my first phrases, I guess, to the public. Like, look what we did. We put up flyers. So I was a little bothered by that, I guess, because he was the one that also said she was supposed to go meet David for a movie, I guess. And I'm not judging anyone. Everyone's parenting style is different. I know my parents, if I was 12 or 13, they're driving me places. They're not letting me get in the car with anyone who can drive unless it's an older sister. But tell me your thoughts on that. Have you spoken with her family, with her brother or anything? Sorry, that was a long wind up.
No, I have not spoken directly to the family, but I have spoken to people that know them well and people that were involved in that, looking for her the first time. And I'll say as the only thing I do is missing person cases. That's it. And a large percentage of that is runaways. And I'll tell you that it becomes CPS and the system are worthless as far as I'm concerned. So these families, when they become habitual runaways, which I do not believe in like law enforcement does. After they've run away once, they're a habitual runaway, write them off. They're, just hope for the best. I don't think that is the way to do it. But I also see these families where they're like, what do we do? They just keep, how do I can't keep them on a leash. And, there does become a point sometimes where the family's like, okay, thank God they're safe where they are right now. Like, I develop maybe a solution and try and get help. And these are families sometimes that have means to do that. And now have a family that, with what's going on in Los Angeles right now with ICE and everything, that might not be a fully documented family. They don't want to have contact with law enforcement.
Yeah.
And I think that that's part of the thing. I don't think the father is even in the country. And I think the mother is not fully documented. And I think it's scaring them to death. And like, okay, we got to interact with law enforcement, but if we do, are we just going to be picked up and deported? And I think, so I think that comes into it. But then also, I think that what they're probably trying to push back, and I have not talked to them to survey notes, but I'm just guessing. I think they're also trying to push back against, oh, you guys like sold her into this. I think they're trying to say we were looking for her, which it appears the first time they were, from what I've heard, because I've talked to people that were involved with that kind of going door to door effort. And the initial, they did send me like the initial missing persons flyers the first time, which had like the mom and dad or the mom's cell phone number on it. So they were looking. I'm not so sure that was the case the last time, when she's been gone a long time. I do think that there's probably a good idea where she was at, and there's going to be some tough questions to answer about that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's a really good point. Her family wasn't documented. That makes things very tough. I know that there were reports of her sister who went into a local liquor store because the owner had seen Celeste with a backpack as well. And now when I had started the stream and we were waiting on you, I pulled up the alleged picture of her at a concert, one of his last concerts in August of 2025.
Yeah, the one where she's on a balcony or a person.
Yeah. I mean, it does look just like her. I don't know if you think that as well. I also was just thinking, if that is her, why do you think her digital footprint hadn't really been seen since July of 2025?
I don't think it's her, because what a couple people that live in that
think it's her. Sorry.
I don't think her. No. The brother, whoever she's with up there, is a fairly tall, good sized guy, and she's not super short compared to him. From what I've heard from the people that live in that neighborhood that have talked to me, have said that missing persons flyer on her that says she was 5'2" and 120 pounds. They're like, that's wildly wrong. She is at most 5'1" and not more than 100 pounds ever. So I think she's and I actually saw, because David's not a tall guy. He's pretty short. And I saw a picture the other day of them like going down like stairs, and it's from the back, and she's way shorter than him. And I think he's only like 5'4". I could be wrong about that, but I don't think that girl is her. I also don't think that. I think she would have had a problem traveling, even if you have a fake ID, as you know, you're not in California, I guess, but in California, it's now mandatory to have a real ID or whatever they call it. The new upgrade security enhanced ones. So I don't think it's her. I don't think she could get away with a fake ID as far as TSA goes. Now, if they were flying private, I get it, but I don't think they didn't fly private there. So I don't believe that's her. Plus, when I got the images yesterday from the parking enforcement officer, or the ones that the parking enforcement officer took when he was ticketing the car, that car has been there a while. That car's been sitting there a while. I mean, the windshield has just dirt just caked on it, and it takes a while to get like that. and
So
she's in
do
the car.
you think it was longer then than the original August date? You think that that's just when a neighbor happened to see it or notice it?
From what I've been told, the people are very close to the family. Last time a family member knew of, had any contact, because I do think there was contact over the last year. I don't think she's been a missing person.
Yeah.
It was July. I think she could have been there since July.
Been
I was
been
told by
deceased
people in that
since
neighborhood
July.
that I was told that car had been there well over a month in that same spot. It had been moved around a few times, like in May and stuff, but it had been in that spot where it was towed from for more than a month.
Okay. I mean,
And living here, like, I can tell you that street parking is a nightmare in Los
mhm.
Angeles, right? Those streets happen to be, there's no restriction parking. You can park on those streets unless you abandon a vehicle, and I can tell you, you can't. There's cars along that street all day and all night parked,
Yeah.
so they're not going to just tow it based on, hey, a phone call like there's a car out here, I want to get towed. It has to, the reason it was towed is because it appeared abandoned. There was the buildup of the dirt. There was
Yeah.
the tires. You noted the tires were messed up, and it had been and then some sort of wreck. So it's not easy to get cars towed here, I can tell you that. And so it wasn't like they called on the 26th because it showed up on the 26th. That car had been there a while.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, it just been there because a long time before the 26th, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and Bob, obviously he brings up this point. David has lawyers, no way he's talking. I mean, I had just posted this earlier today on I think it was on Twitter. So David, his father, he works as a litigation support manager.
Mhm.
And that doesn't give him a law degree, but he oversees operational support for legal teams, specializing
Right.
in online discovery and just document management and stuff. And so that kind of led me to believe that, his dad is advising him right
Yeah.
now, like, shut up. I will put you in touch with the best people.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why maybe we haven't seen a statement from him about, anything at this point. But something else, it's like, usually when you've got a case like this that's so mysterious, the LAPD or law enforcement is begging the public to help. They're always like, if you have any information, if you have this, but no, they're not asking anything of us. But we don't.
They don't need it here.
Okay.
Obviously, I mean that's just what you guys. They don't need it. They're not asking for it because they've got a ton of stuff, and I just think it's a matter of waiting for the toxicology to come back. I do think that this means that it wasn't anything that they could determine the manner of death right away, because they couldn't determine the cause. Meaning, if there had been, it could still be deferred for final classification. But if there was like a gunshot wound or something, they would still put it as a fact. They would still list it right now on the website as a factor. So there was a gunshot wound, but it's still, pending to see if there's other factors involved too. The fact that there's nothing means that this is probably going to come down to a lot of it's probably going to come down to toxicology. That's just what I think. There's no obvious, like gunshot wounds or anything like that. Now, as far as what defense lawyers are saying, I 100% agree. He's got he's a lawyer. He's got great lawyers, right? And no way he's talking. However, as a non-lawyer, just looking at this and thinking about a 20-year-old kid that had a career that was really taking off, if it was me and I truly had nothing to do with this, and it's like, man, I let somebody else have the car and something happened with her or whatever, I would be like, I don't, just to save myself from not going to prison, which I'm not going to do because I have this proving I'm innocent, I've got to make a statement and be for the court of public opinion, because even if he's found not guilty right now, his career is over now because he hasn't made a statement. I mean, the fact that he hasn't come out and said, listen, I loved her. I can't believe she's deceased. I promise you everything is going to get worked out.
He can't say that because she was 14, right? He can't say I loved her, and right?
I think he has to acknowledge in some way that he or just at least say, I know that how this looks. She was found in my trunk, but I promise you, everybody, just be patient. Like, I promise you, I'm not allowed to talk right now. But he has said nothing, and so what they've done is whoever told him that, as far as I'm concerned, torpedoed his career too. And so if you're truly innocent, and I know he's not truly innocent as far as the grooming and stuff goes, but if you're trying to mitigate that, the silence, he's blown up his whole life. He really has. I mean, it's just, he can be 100% innocent right now, and she was just a friend and the whole thing, but he's ruined his career because he hasn't said a word. And also, it's just the fact that he knew before any of us. Like, I remember when this car was found on the 8th, I happened to have the news on the background as I was working, and it was like breaking news. The car has been found at Hollywood Tow with a body in it. And it's not the first time this has happened at Hollywood Tow, right? So I turned around and watched it, and I took interest in it because I have a missing person case going on here of a missing female, and we were like, oh, could this be her? So I started making a lot of calls, and this is before we knew the identity of the person, and but the thing is, they did put out certain details the next day about how she appeared as far as the dark wavy hair and what she was wearing, and then the following day they put out more information like the tattoo stuff. Listen, as soon as that body's found in her car registered to him, they're calling being like, yo, body was found in your car, can you explain? He knew it was Celeste. Listen, he knew. And the fact that he went on with his tour, is the optics of that are really, really bad. Because
but that's the question. How do you, even if like we said the other day, if she OD'd, he panicked, he shoved her, he would be dumb enough to shove this poor girl in his car and then leave and go on tour. And
I think this is my opinion. I think, because I know everybody's talking about that, how could you be that dumb? What I think happened is, I think you get to a level of, when you're in that industry or any, Hollywood industry, you have so many yes people around you. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, I mean, we can do it. Everybody's just like, yes, yes, yes. And I think he thought, he could have thought, okay, it's in the car, move the car over there, create a little distance, because psychologically, that's what people do. They just want to distance themselves from that, even if it's just to give them time to think. And I think he thought he could get one of his people to move that car, get rid of that car, dump it in a reservoir, do something, get rid of it. And I think everybody was like, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not touching it. And I think it went down the line and nobody would do it. And then he's just like, what do you do? Just leave it there and be like, oh, just pretend like it does, try and, out of sight, out of mind. I think it just came down to, he couldn't find anybody to do it, which means there's a lot of people out there that know that he was asking them to do it. I don't think it was meant to be left there. I just think everybody was like, listen, I'll do a lot for him. I'm not doing that though, and I think he probably overestimated what people would do for him.
Yeah, I have definitely thought about that as well. I also keep going back to, like, if we're even talking about a quote OD, right? We don't know if we are. Her handle was Blunt Lover. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming they smoked marijuana together. Mm-hmm. Maybe they ate marijuana together, edibles, whatever. Fine. What other drugs could have been involved? Psychedelic drugs. Did he do something while he was on drugs? I just, I just cannot, I can't figure this out, Steve. It's just, I feel like everyone's going to be so sick of me guessing and talking about it, but I'm doing this because I can't figure out why they have not apprehended him and given a press conference, especially for the people in LA who might be like, what's been going on here? What the hell is going down in the Hollywood Hills?
So if they jam him up, if they go ahead and arrest him, they've got 3 days to arraign him. They got to drop charges. And if they don't, then they got to cut him loose again. Then although they still can charge him, it's not a great optics there either. So what they can do is keep an eye. I guarantee he's under some form of surveillance. I guarantee, and listen, his attorneys are telling him, don't do anything stupid. I think the biggest risk here, if he is guilty, is that he does something to himself and not leave the country or something. I think the marshals would pick him off, but I do think LAPD, you got to give them a little time, because once they arrest him, then they're under a 72-hour clock too. And it's not just them. They're in constant contact with the DA now. The DA is involved in this investigation. It's really the DA's decision. It's when the DA says, okay, we feel we have enough now that because it, even though they might be able to show probable cause and they get back, the thing is they do got to turn over all that discovery pretty quickly to his team. And, then listen, he's got great attorneys, right? There's going to be stuff they try to make exclusionary. There's stuff that are going to try and get knocked out. You start losing evidence. So I think listen, I think they will also want to know the entire story. I think they're trying to get people to flip on him and get them, on their side. And that does take a little time because it's not just law enforcement. It's also the prosecutors. Right now, I think the prosecutors are in much more control than law enforcement. Prosecutors are telling law enforcement what they need for evidence, what they want, witness statement, and they're probably involved in the interviews and whatnot. So, but.
Yeah. So then, Steve, what would you say, I guess, let's say that the tox comes back and it's an OD, right?
Yeah.
It's an OD. Would you surmise that David could be charged with obstruction and possibly like a statutory charge? Because
I think so the statutory charge might be hard. It might be really hard to have actual proof that they had a sexual relationship, right? But definitely harboring, contributing to delinquency of abuse of a corpse. There's a lot of stuff that they can throw at him. However, most of these are not felonies. I mean, abuse of a corpse a lot of times isn't even a felony, to be honest with you. So, but there's, and then also, did he, is the FBI involved here because of possible, because he does come and go out of the state a lot. If the FBI is involved in this case at all, did he give a statement? If he lied to the FBI, that, lying to the FBI in itself is a crime. All right. So now he lawyered up pretty quick. So most likely he's not giving any statements anyways. When he says cooperation, that probably just means he took their initial call. And yes, there's a lot of other charges that can be thrown at him, but none that I can tell you because of the attention around this case and people that truly want justice for her, that it's not going to satisfy anybody if it's anything less than like a homicide charge. But listen, there is a chance she OD'd. I've heard, and I don't have proof of this, but I heard from people very close to her family that when she came back the first time, she was in rough shape, and I think she was involved in harder drugs than marijuana.
What, you heard that from the family,
people in Lake Elsinore that are close to the family and that know her, and that she was in that she was doing harder stuff now, which I was kind of surprised to hear, because I'll be honest with you, I've watched a lot of his interviews. So he does not appear like a hard drug person. He seems pretty well spoken, and even after his concerts, he's sober and he's talking. But that doesn't mean that she didn't have demons, and so she could have been partying with somebody in his entourage. And listen, they've also told me that, what I think I told you earlier is that she's a lot smaller than the poster says. So 100-pound girl to OD does not take a lot,
Right. Right. I mean, I just look at her. She's so cute.
She's
literally, she looks like a 12 or 13-year-old. And this is also why I can't really get my head. And again, maybe I'm old, but she's bopping around the club.
Wrong.
I'm not.
It's wrong. It's sick.
Yeah.
It's gross. And it's also, to me, just as gross that all these people in his entourage and in his world were like, hey, he's famous, so we'll turn a blind eye. You can't do that. This girl should have been in her 7th or 8th grade classes, not on tour or living at his house. And everybody that knew that is just as responsible, as far as I'm concerned, as he is. Like, if you run across a child in this situation, you need to call authorities, even if you do it anonymously, and be like, listen, there's like a 12 or 13-year-old that's hanging out in this musician's mansion up at all hours of the night. And this she's not a object, she's not a toy, she's not their possession,
Well, and so, going off this, Bob, I don't want to get anyone,
upset with me again, because I really am not trying to blame the parents. I just question a lot of things, but I'm not in their position. If they feel uncomfortable because they feel like they will be taken out of this country, that's something I don't know. But what I have to wonder again is, we all have iPhones or Droids, whatever. She most likely did because she was communicating with him on all these different apps. Were her parents tracking that? Do the police have her? But do the police have her phone now? When did it stop pinging? When did it, I'm just I don't know. And Ashley, I don't know about David's parents, Ashley, because he's 20 years old. So I don't know. But I just have questions about that,
well, as far as the phones go, I don't know if they have her physical device, but what they have done is they've absolutely given exigent warrants to the phone company, and they've gotten her. I guarantee they have her iCloud, or whatever the equivalent is if she was on Android. They have that data. If they have the device itself, then they'll be able to do a Cellbrite on it, and Cellbrite's gonna just blow this whole thing open, and including his phone. So because you can't even delete stuff, Cellbrite, you're done, right? But listen, I think in the end, and I am in no way trying to trash the parents. I deal with so many runaways and people that are in this position where they're like, should I just be happy that they're at a safe environment instead of on the street? Because they keep running away. They're like, and they're torn, and it's like, and they're not getting any help from CPS or anything. So but I think in the end, are you going to find out that the family was in contact with her over the last year at certain times? I'm positive. I know there's some things I know that. So yes, I think you're going to find that out, and it's going to look bad. But I also think there's, I don't know. You can't justify it. I get the frustration, and I know it's now the worst has happened. So it's like, oh my God, I made the wrong decision.
No, it's
just there's a lot of blame to go around, but the one person that should not be blamed is Celeste, because she's not of age to consent. So that means that she's not of age to think these decisions through and run. And listen, it's going to look great. Go out with some rich singer, live in his mansion, think you're in love. That's why she's not of age to consent, because she doesn't have the ability to take all those factors. So I hate to see any victim shaming going on with her, because I think that she was very impressionable. And
I haven't seen any of that for her. Nothing for her.
Not a 15-year-old. She was never, ever, ever, ever alive at 15. She was not. The car was found on the 8th. It was towed on the 5th. She turned 15 on the 7th. She turned 15 in death. She was only alive at 14, and from what it appears, he was around her from 11, possibly even 10 years old. So this is a tiny child. Even if you just want to be friends with her, which I don't like, why? Why?
No, you can't. I'm sorry. No. Yeah. Again, I'm thinking of my 9-year-old daughter. When she's 12, whatever, if whatever 17, 18-year-old boy wants to become friends with her, no, that's literally not going to happen. That pervert's going,
right.
No way. And I don't think anyone, I have not seen anyone shame Celeste. I think at this point,
that kind of goes with the family. They're kind of like, oh, the family let her and stuff. I don't mean that. I mean, and also, but listen, the family's going to get blowback here. I get it. I don't think it was a situation where they sold her into that. Were they getting financial help at times? I'll bet that comes out that they were.
So this is what I think people are saying, and this is how the rumors spread is exactly what you just said. Because I've heard this, and again, when I did a live stream the other day, and anybody who had information, I just said, okay, where did you get this from? Did you hear it firsthand? Who did you hear it from? Did you I just want to know where it's coming from, because people have said, the parents were getting paid off to look the other way because they needed money. So that, I think, is where the parental hate was coming from. That seemed to sort of explode. But then you also heard that students may have been getting paid to look the other way. And that's what that photo was in the school parking lot of David with just an average looking student, who the hell knows what they're doing? I don't know what they're doing, but
that's going to be a part of this too. Now, if they were minors at the time, they're probably going to skirt anything. But you know what? They have, you know, they should have a pretty guilty conscience themselves too, because what they did is they took the money over helping this girl, and now she ends up dead in the frunk of a Tesla. So that money is blood money.
But if it's true, we don't know it's true.
If it's true.
This is my issue. It's like, until we know, we're looking in all these weird directions, and I'm just like,
80% of the time these come back and that's not what it really was. You know, it was something else. But I will say that I do know, listen, I have seen text messages. I do know that there was a certain amount of people that knew her, that were around her age, that knew where she was and who she was with. And I think that goes down to even some family members. So, but again, it comes down to, is it, you want to run the risk of her keep running away, or is she safe? And of course it's like, oh, she's with this rich guy. I'm sure that part of that is like, comes into it where you can't justify it, but it's just like, it gets really, and also nobody thinks that this is going to happen, right? Like worst case scenario, nobody's going to think that she's going to end up dead. It's more like, oh, well, but she's not in school. And, you know, and that's the thing. It's like with David and especially Josh, the manager, and listen, Josh there's a whole bunch of people from Interscope that were involved in his career, and you know, listen, I'm sure he has publicists, people that were in his orbit. Like, why wasn't anybody like, you know, shouldn't she be in school? You know, they were just letting her like destroy her life. And
I wanted to ask you, what you live in LA, you live in this world to a degree. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on Josh Marshall, and did you have thoughts on him before you found out about his his connection to David as his manager?
I didn't know Josh. I didn't know Josh or know his name. I have dealt with people in that music world before, just because of somebody I was involved with a long time ago. And so I've seen that enabling, right? And I saw it with this girl that I dated that was in that world, and the kind of same thing happened, where it seemed like anything you ask for, you can get away with. You just believe you're like bulletproof, and I think to an extent that's why he thought anybody could get rid of the car. But I can definitely tell you that these managers, and I've been like directly in that world before. These managers know everything about their clients. They literally manage their entire life, not just their music career. Everything is like and he was put, you know, I wish I could say exactly who this email letter was sent to, besides Josh, but there are people very, very close. There's a lot of people that were put on notice.
Can you read it to us, the email, without giving anything away?
I can't, but I can tell you it wasn't just like Josh. It was like,
can you reintroduce what it is, just for people who might have just been joining?
So when she went missing in 2024, some of her friends and family knew, like, they knew about David or whatever, and somebody, so there's like a language barrier with the mom does not speak English, and the dad is not in the country, and so somebody was helping them. Somebody is very close to the family in Lake Elsinore and knows all of them, and wrote a letter kind of on their behalf. And it was an email letter. It was sent to Josh and a family member of Josh and some other people, and basically said, we know that she's with him. I don't think they knew the address at the time, but they knew she's with him, and that they included the missing persons flyer. She's a missing person. She's 12 or 13 at that time. And the next I think it was the next day or the day after, she showed up. She just showed up on her own back home.
How did these people know Josh but not David?
It was an adult. It was an adult that just
a family friend of
Celeste. So somebody that, like, if you're trying to get a hold of David, I guess you could, and you have any knowledge of the industry and stuff, you could be like, okay, I can look up who his manager is, and contact his manager.
So you think these people, these friends of Celeste or family friends, they knew of David, they knew he was a singer, they didn't know how to get in touch with him, but they knew enough to Google possibly his manager. So they retrieve Josh Marshall's email just as strangers saying, hey, we think she's with your client or whatever. And then the next day she shows up back home.
They actually dug a little bit deeper into that and find out a little bit more about his personal life and people around Josh. And so, but yeah, so again, I don't want to give up. It would give up the person and they don't want to be given up. But but the thing is, she showed up within 24 hours or so. So and then about a month later, she split again.
Whoa, Steve. I mean, so Josh is going to be sitting right next to David in the cell, allegedly, if.
Josh is going to go down on this, I think. And again, it's shocking. I understand Interscope's probably like, don't nobody say anything, including David. But if I was Josh trying to save my career, I'd be like, I'd want to get out in front of this. I get what a defense attorney is going to say. I get what defense attorney is going to say. And I understand why. But I'm talking about the court of public opinion, not the, you got to, like, if you're balancing both because you're a public figure, it's like, okay. And I know that's like every defense attorney is gonna be like, nope, I don't care about your career. Like, I'm trying to go out of prison. But the silence is deafening in this case. Like, nobody from his camp has said a word.
Wait, how did that go under the radar for so long? Like, I guess I'm confused also because, like, and somebody just asked this. Hold on. They said, why was there still an official missing person report active if she was in contact with her family? Well, it came out that initial April missing flyer, that was just what people were using when she was found deceased. Oh, look, this girl was missing at one point. She did return. She did leave again. So we know that. And I'm assuming that this letter was probably around April or February, maybe, of 2024, Steve, or was this before?
They've asked me not to give the exact date. No, but yes, but you would but you'd be right. You'd be right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just from what we know of this timeline,
they just said we just kept it at 2024. But yeah, I mean, you're right. You're saying, yeah, a little earlier in February. Well, I just said February, around February, maybe.
yeah. I guess I'm just like, okay, so how exactly was this?
So there was a missing persons report open, and so this is, being that I only work missing cases, persons cases, it's so frustrating because the way these runaways get treated. So what happens is she'd already run away before. So now you open another missing persons report on her. She's going to be labeled a habitual runaway. They're going to take the report and they're going to put her in a system called NCIC. And basically what that is if she comes in contact with any law enforcement agent around the country, she'll be flagged as a missing person. They'll then call the detective and be like, have her here. They'll do it. They're not out looking for her. When she initially goes missing, the first time they'll look for her. But once she's habitual, she's a runaway, and they're not looking for her. So this report's in there. So even if the family is in contact with her, one, I don't think the family is letting law enforcement know that. But even if they are, law enforcement can't clear a missing persons report until they do what's called a locate. And that means, so if I call and I say, hey, and this happens in every case where I do find someone, I call and like, hey, I found so-and-so, right? And they'll be like, okay, we got to do a locate. So they send an officer out and they verify that it is the person. And if they're under 18, then they're taken to their home or whatever to set up, whether it be CPS is intervened, but if it's an adult, they'll ask them, do you want your, there's been a missing persons report filed for you. If they're of sound mind, then they'll say, listen, you have the right to either, we can tell them that you were located and clear the report, and we just call and say, we've located them, they're safe. We can't give you any other information. They don't want their location given. That's perfectly fine. Or they can put them in touch with, who's been looking for them. Most of the time people are like, I don't want them to know. And now in her case, that wouldn't be a factor, but they'd have to do a locate. So even if the family had said, hey, we have to talk to her, unless the officer actually put eyes on her, they're going to keep her in the system. But it just sits there because nobody's looking for them. These kids just get forgotten about. It's so sad. They're giving up. They're just like, hey, once, so we're just forget it.
Yeah, but what Ashley said, the minute you said this, and she put this in the chat, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, wait a minute.
They do.
You can't call a 12-year-old. I mean, sure, you can say they're a runaway, but you can't just say, okay, well, I guess a 12-year-old ran away.
If we're saying that they're not old enough to consent to anything, not just sexual stuff, but not old enough to consent to make their own decisions and stuff like that, then we can't say, well, they ran away once. They can do it on their own. It's like you can't have it both ways. It's like they're not runaway. Listen, with it, that is when you really need, as far as I'm concerned, that those are actually more critical cases, because these are kids. Okay, I get it. Kids, they're going through a time. They get upset. They run away. But if they're doing it habitually, then it's time to jump in and with some trained therapists and find out what's going on at home. Why don't you want to stay there? Is there something that we need to know about? Is there abuse? Because so many times, especially in foster, I mean, listen, I love foster parents when they do stuff, but there are some bad actors in there too. And find out so many times these kids, like on my Twitter, I have a pinned story of this 14-year-old, just tragic situation. And finally we sat down and talked to her, and we're like, what is going on? Why do you keep doing this? And she's like, I just want to be heard. She's like, I just want somebody to listen. And like, she was getting, I mean, the stuff that was going on to her. And we sat down there and we're like, what do you want? She's like, this is the type of treatment I think I need. This is where I want to go. Like, not the exact place, but I just like, I don't want to be locked up. Like, I feel like I'm in jail in this like juvenile place. And we worked with her, and we worked with the FBI, and we got her into this place, and she's thriving today, and but instead of just this, hey, you're a chronic runaway, we give up on you. Well, if they can't consent to make their own decisions, then why are you leaving them out there on their own? Why don't you go talk to them and be like, why do you keep running away? Is there something we need to know about? As a parent, as a family member, as a neighbor, is somebody doing something to you? Like what? But they don't do it.
No, and this goes back to sort of what you said. Celeste's mother doesn't speak English. It sounds like her father was not in the country. So, she didn't have this support system where her mom knew what to do. You're not from this country. You don't know what the hell to do when your kid runs away. I mean, did her mom possibly have a boyfriend do we know anything like that was in the house and that was possibly suspect? I don't know, but I know that, the police are clearly probably waist deep in evidence. I can't even imagine how much tangible evidence they have to go through at this point, which is why I thought that the FBI would be involved, because again, interstate travel with the, the computers, the forensic, all this stuff. I'm just like, my head is spinning. So I don't know, but this has been really eye-opening for me, especially this email that you mentioned that we won't go any deeper on that, but hopefully we'll have more information soon. I think, again, the public is just so concerned as to why there hasn't been an arrest yet. I know.
I think it's going to be a while too, because I think that they got to wait for the tox results to come back because again, if they arrest them, they got to charge them. The DA's got to charge them within 3 days and business days. And so here it's been running like 60 days to get toxicology back. Now, could they have put a rush on this? They could have, but even high profile cases like Michael Jackson stuff took months for it to come back. So it could take a while. Now, can they charge him? Could they be like, okay, we've got this other evidence. We've got something from the Tesla. So could they charge him without it being deemed a homicide? Absolutely. They don't have. And so there's also a constant communication between the medical examiner's office and the detectives, and they can informally be like, this is going towards homicide. So just because we don't see it, but I also don't think he's a flight risk. People think he is, but he's a high profile person. People are going to know if he's left the country. The U.S. Marshal, you don't trick the U.S. Marshal's office. You just don't, and so it sucks. I know people want justice right away, but I think the DA's office and LAPD is saying, okay, let's, and also keep in mind, even though he's already got a lawyer, right? Once they bring him in, they got to Mirandize him. And so then once he's under Miranda and he invokes that, anything, he can't get anything from him, right? So, and if you do, by breaking that, then it's all fruits of a poisonous tree type of thing. He can ruin the other stuff. So they know that they know that he's not gonna talk for one. But I mean, once they put him under Miranda, so I think what they're saying is let's keep an eye on him, because he could slip up. I mean, here's a kid that is probably under a ton of pressure, right? I mean, I get he's probably a narcissist and probably like, oh, I didn't, but it's probably getting to him. And maybe they're saying, hey, maybe he'll make some stupid middle of the night statement, even if he tries to delete it. They still got all that. They're tapped into Discord and all those social media platforms.
Sharon asked a great question. Why not just officially name him as a person of interest? I mean, it's clear that he is. It's his car she was found in. Why don't they do that?
It might be because they're trying to give him somewhat of a false sense of security. Like, hey, you haven't been charged yet. Maybe I can make some comment, because even if he makes a comment he thinks beneficiary to him, if they have evidence that's not exactly the case, then that's stuff that they can use against him. So listen, I do think they want him in custody. I just think that they're like, I think it's much more the DA's office than LAPD. I mean, they're working, listen, I guarantee there's already a DA assigned to this case, and they're working. And the DA has amazing in-house investigators. So their investigators are also working on this, not just law enforcement. I mean, well, they are law enforcement also, but I mean, it's not just LAPD or possibly FBI, but those are top-notch investigators at the DA's office. So I think there's a lot going on, and I think what they're saying is, hey, give him a little breathing room, see if because he talks a lot. We know that he likes to be online, and if he thinks he's using
in the chat right now, no, I'm just kidding.
Well, if he thinks he's using an encrypted system that they might be able to crack, who knows? But
yeah, and I think I've just been shocked that TMZ, who is all over everyone's case, has not spotted him since he came back to Los Angeles. Like, where is he?
I don't know if he came back to Los Angeles. I have no information.
Oh, come on. There is no way a dead body was found, and there's no way that police are going to be like, let's talk on the phone, right? No way in hell.
Well, so what they originally said when it first came out that they ID'd her was that he was continuing his shows, but he was scheduled to do a show at the Great Theater here, would have been last Saturday, I believe. And so they said that they had scheduled to speak with him on that Sunday, I believe it was, or he was going to talk to them on Saturday and then play the Great Sunday. And I was like, and I even tweeted about it, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like this, hey, just come in at your convenience, Now, since, listen, Reddit, I don't ever want Reddit like looking into me. Like, I mean, these people, there's some people, they're incredible. I mean, like, I'm like, damn, they are good. Like and so Reddit's turned his life upside down, and he may have had a change of heart. And I don't know, he could be in, Texas with family or something like that, or who knows? I don't know where he is, but I think things have changed because of Reddit. I mean, it's what these people have done with the Discord server and stuff like that is way to go. I know everybody's like, oh, don't have the public involved in this investigation. Let law enforcement do it.
Reddit, public did it.
Like, I'm impressed. I'm like, yeah.
Wait, well, now you're making me think here, Steve, because now you're making me think, the only thing David's team, quote unquote, said is that he is cooperating with law enforcement. Okay, fine. Could cooperating mean like a single phone call saying, yes, that's my car, I didn't do it, but go ahead and search it and search my house. I don't care, I didn't do it. I'll be at my parents' house in Texas. Call me if you need me. God, that could be the case right now, where he's literally sitting pretty playing, whatever you play, Xbox at his parents' house while this investigation continues, and they sit through. No, because wouldn't they take his devices if they had a search warrant for the home?
Well, not if you have the devices with him, but now I guarantee they have search warrants to get it, the cloud-based stuff. Whether they got his physical devices, I'd say probably not, because I don't think he was now, except for what he left behind, but his critical devices are going to be what he has on him, and probably not. And now they can't have direct if it's true that he did hire Brett Burke or then they can't have direct. They can't call him directly and be like, "Hey, we need." They have to go through the attorney now. So,
I mean, my texts are on my computer. Like I I don't know. I just do that
yeah.
with Mac. I'm assuming I'm not assuming, but he most likely does as well, because I'm sure he has a Mac. And
they have all the cloud-based stuff, but what they really are going to want is the device itself, so they can run a Cellbrite on it and get into those deleted registries and see what's been deleted and everything. Because you think you're deleting stuff, but you're not. And Cellbrite can. It's amazing what Cellbrite can do, but they have to actually connect to the physical device to do that. So
totally. Oh my goodness, there's so much, and again, you're amazing. Everything that you've said has been so helpful, and everything you post is helpful. I'm always retweeting you, and it's making me just think about things. Yeah, and I know that. Yeah, we are both in contact. Yeah, go ahead.
The Tesla is going to be a big thing too. And I was kind of surprised they only kept the Tesla for 2 days in processing, and then it's available to be released now. So they only kept it from the 8th to the 10th. Now, Grant, I know that they can just do a data dump. It doesn't take that long to back up, but it appears that it's intact and everything. So I'm kind of surprised they didn't. I don't know, 2 days is pretty quick. I mean, they do got to give the car back after a certain amount of time. They can't keep it indefinitely, right? So I know people think like, oh, I can't believe they're letting the house be rented. I mean, once they process the house, they're out. They're allowed right back in, and you only have a certain amount of days under a search warrant that you can search the house. I think it has to be executed usually within 5 days or whatever, and then they're out, and then it's theirs. But I think the Tesla. The house, maybe I don't know if that's gonna be a value or not. How much value that was, just because he was out on tour, unless it happened there, But who knows? I mean,
well, why would Josh break the lease unless something really bad? I mean, there's a lot of reasons he could. Sorry, that was a dumb thing to say.
I can see it because it's gonna be. Listen, when I like I said, I don't live far from there, and a couple times I've gone by. There's still, as of yesterday, multiple news trucks parked literally right in front of the house, and it's a small street. So they're probably like, I don't want to live there.
That's fair. Totally fair.
But it's not the fact they haven't made a comment. Like if Josh or David had come out and been like, listen, just please let the process play out. Please trust that I'm going to tell everything when I can, the typical stuff here, but we've heard nothing. I mean, he has ruined, it's ruined his career. It's ruined, I'm sure, Josh's career to an extent, because they've chosen to stay quiet, which I get the defense attorneys want, but it's like, you got to balance that with saving your career. It doesn't look like he had much interest in saving his career, which makes you think there must be something to hide.
Something's going on. Yeah. Well, I guess I will throw out my hopes of possibly hearing something this week. So I just don't think that's going to happen based on again the talks. And again, like her body was brought in, discovered on the 8th, as this document that we both got says as of the 19th, she's still pending further medical evaluation, which probably includes the toxicology. So 3 more.
And they do, once they're done, once they do the autopsy, the initial examination, they always release it, especially for like religious reasons and stuff. They don't keep the body there forever. What they do is they take panels. So they take slices of the organs and stuff, and they keep them, and then they obviously the full photograph, and they do all the radiographs and stuff like that, and then they can actually then evaluate everything from imagery later. So they don't actually keep the body. So it wasn't weird that they released it that quick. But if you go back and you look on the medical examiner's website, I was doing it yesterday, and I went back to cases that in like early July and the end of June, because if you look at cases, anybody that's in their 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, those are typically going to be deaths that weren't of natural causes. And you look, and they'll also deferred, still not completed. And then it was like the end of June when I started hitting then they list, overdose and the drugs that were in the system and stuff. So it looks like right now it's the end of June, first week of July are the cases where the reports are coming back and stuff. So we could have a couple months before we Now, her case could be accelerated a little bit because it's a high-profile case and there are possible homicide charges, but it could be a couple months before we get that determination. But they can make a determination of homicide of the manner of death, which is, you know, accidental, unaliving, homicide. I'm forgetting the other, and those that can be determined earlier if they're like, okay, we have something that we can definitely say, okay, it was homicide or whatever. But
yeah,
but
I just pulled it up. If you saw, I think you had pulled this up yesterday as well, where it does confirm.
The cause will take till it comes back, because the cause is where they would list acute fentanyl, you know, overdose, or they'll list all the various things. So, but the manner could be determined earlier. But if there's no obvious things like a gunshot wound in the or something like that in the skull or in another body part, then that could remain like until they get the tox back, and then they take everything together, and then the doctor will say, okay, based on all this, I think it's, you know, or it can come back undetermined too. Undetermined is a manner of death. So,
and that's the worst. That is going to send us all into that will make me never sleep again. If it comes back undetermined, I should just kiss my sleep goodbye. But is it weird? This probably doesn't matter. My physical paper from the medical examiner's office says it was signed by Deputy Medical Examiner Alma Martinez, but the Deputy Medical Examiner on here is different.
Yeah, so that's so what you have. What that is that's a procedural thing. So sometimes before even before a death certificate is generated, which can take a little while. People need proof for whatever reason that a person's passed away, whether it be to be able to enter their to get their belongings in an apartment, or to show their employer, or whatever it may be. So that what that is just saying, hey, here is proof that this person is deceased and we did ID them, and that's all. It's not even official death certificate. It's just a notification. It's the proof of death. So, and there's various reasons that people, you know, may need those, like family members or whoever, just to say, hey, you know, this person died. We don't have the death certificate yet, but here, you know, they could have court hearings coming up, whatever it may be, you know.
Oh, okay, got it. And Ashley said life insurance too. I don't know. I mean,
so life insurance will wait until the entire report is done, including they have to have cause and manner, because they don't pay out on like unaliving and stuff like that. So, but you can notify the insurance company, but they're not going to do anything on it. But yeah, that anything like that, like her school, you know, if the school's like, where's she at? Like, hey, you know, we don't have death certificate. Here's proof that she did die. You know, if it wasn't a high profile case like this, you know, where they
I mean, when I got this envelope, I was like, what? Oh,
yeah.
Already? I was freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I opened it and I was like, all right, well, I mean,
and even once they come back with cause and manner, because I get a lot of those reports, they take a while to get the report out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because they have to finalize it, and in high-profile cases, the final report has to then go through a review process with a board of like 4 or 5 people, and it takes a long time. Like Hannah Kobayashi's father's took a long time.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about her.
Yeah.
Why'd you bring her up? I'm gonna get annoyed all over again. All the time I wasted looking for that girl.
Yeah.
Seriously, I think we were on Port TV together for that case. I think that's.
Oh, we're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were actually.
Oh,
I just thought of that. Yeah.
That's right. I was in Tennessee at the time. I had just found her. Like, I'd gotten the information where she was like a couple days earlier. Then I went to Tennessee for Sebastian Rogers' case. But yeah, that's right. We were. That's right. I had a little audio problems. They kept being like, okay. I
actually remember that.
Yeah, they took me off and they put me out. And then when I was on, I sounded drunk because the audio was so slow. It was like,
no, you really didn't. They always have like, audio visual issues. It's like, I don't know, whatever. Yeah. But no, Steve, everybody needs to go follow Steve on Twitter, especially at SF Investigates. He is.
I only say this because there's people that spoof my account. It's SF_investigates. Go to SF Investigates and go to the fake FBI thing.
Okay, so it's SF_investigates, and then I've also included his website in the episode notes.
Thanks.
Yes, for this. No, for sure, because Steve is the one that you guys know me. I'm New York. I love to be boots on the ground. I love to go to where things happen, but like I'm
Right.
not in LA and I can
Right.
get calls, I can do what I, but Steve's he's got the information and he doesn't have the gossip, which is what I'm looking for. So I really want to thank you for sharing all this info
Sure.
with us. Thank you for your time, and please update us all as you find everything. And yes, he is, everyone loves him. Oh, Ashley Oaks says unblock her. Maybe it's a mistake.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm a little controversial on Twitter. I'll let people know there's a lot of people that come at me because I'm in some cases that people don't agree with. Like I was investigating Riley Strain, and I'm also in Sebastian Rogers. There are a lot of people that have a heated, they go after the parents and stuff. So I've blocked people, but I will if I don't see their screen name. But if somebody sends me a screen name, I'll unblock them.
Okay. Yeah. I think sometimes like I've put in keywords before and I think some people have done that too. She says she's never interacted with you ever. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah. So, but that's what it could have been, like just like a keyword thing, like who knows, whatever.
Yeah.
And she's sweet. I know her. She never says anything nasty.
Okay. What's her screen name?
Ashley, what's your Twitter handle? We'll just wait here for you so you can follow Steve now.
Yeah, or you can
so
just
funny.
Send it to me later.
Yeah. I'll definitely let you know. But Steve, really, thank you so much again. We will all be following you and following this case. You've done great work. So thanks everyone in the chat as well. Bye guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Everyone have a great